This episode, we caught up with Holley McCreary. Holley is an award-winning singer-songwriter that is now based in our area. With her roots in the Deep South and gospel music, Holley entertains the audience with her creative storytelling and her inspiring voice. You can catch Holley performing with her band, Tune Squad, but to really hear Holley at her best, catch her solo or duet shows where she showcases her originals. Holley's songs are available on Spotify or through her website. Let's see what Holley has for us today.
We are here with Holley McCreary.
Yes.
In the North Woods of Fairfield County, the north of Candlewood Lake. She so graciously invited us into her house so that we could talk to her. How did you end up here in Connecticut?
Yeah, what's your...
I was working with a independent label out of South Salem, New York, and went ahead and had kind of semi-migrated to the area. I was at a point where I was coming to the city to write with artists for about 2 weeks at a time, going home for 2 weeks, coming up for 2 weeks, going home for 2 weeks, and I felt like literally within 2 years, I felt like I'd added a decade on to my life just in travel and the strain. I just decided, you know what, it's time to get out of my comfort zone and just, relocate, restart, reset. It just kind of it was a snowball that kind of just fell down the side of the mountain and landed right in my lap, and I was like, "This is cool. Let's do this." So
because I always point out during gigs, this accent ain't from Connecticut.
No, it's not. It absolutely is not. And it picks its times now to come out. I think I've been up here long enough that I've kind of regionally or non-region, I should say, diction-wise, I've kind of fallen in with the ranks, but it's, I get on the phone with my mom long enough and it comes out.
Home was originally?
I was born in Florida, but raised most of my life in Alabama. So Alabama was high school on. Earlier parts of my life as well, but kind of we were back and forth between the two states of Florida and Alabama. My father's a minister. My mother's a retired school teacher. And so we just kind of went where Dad's work took us and wound up in Mobile, Alabama for high school, wound up at University of North Alabama in Florence, right across the river from Muscle Shoals for college. And I feel like that's kind of where everything just kind of came together music-wise for me. Went to college and ran in groups with a bunch of really amazing artists that are big and giant and huge now. So just kind of lit the fire to keep doing what I'm doing. I feel like there's just something in the water there. My buddy Jim Bellhart and I have a theory about the studio down at the end of Cypress, out in Muscle Shoals. Yeah. It's right at the bend of the Tennessee River. And if you look at the geology of the area, there's a significant part of that bend at Cypress that is dug out underneath the land that the studio itself sits out on. So you're dealing with vibrations, you're dealing with water currents, you're dealing with other sources that we don't immediately think of. And there have been some really, most of the great Allman Brothers albums came out of that studio. Some really other amazing tunes that came out of that place that just, I feel like it not only has to do with the region that you're in, but the people that you're surrounded by and the influences that impact you and make you, Yeah.
Because it was kind of I don't want to say peculiar, but just a interesting spot to where all that music came out of. I think
you had a really amazing group of producers at the time that a lot of people don't talk about, and of course I'm going to blank on names because I'm trying to think of them right now. And I think as Nashville kind of came up in the last in the next kind of realm of music from Muscle Shoals, it's only 2.5 hours north. There's not a lot of draw to keep you in that area of Muscle Shoals and Florence and that Tri-County, Tri-City area unless you just want to be there. There are great studios right up the road, and nowadays everybody's got a studio in their own house. Right. So I definitely feel like the studio days are dwindling. I've got friends in the area who still do session work at Fame and so there are still people cutting records and doing things like that. But as the digital age comes about, every day there's something new that comes out that enhances a home recorder's ability. But I don't think that, I would never want someone to say, I'm not going to pursue this because I don't have the money to put down for a good studio recording. That shouldn't ever hamper you or hold you back as an artist, because that's not what art is about. That's not what creating is about. I think that's one of the cool things about being in that area, was to know the greats that had been there before me, to know the people that, had the influence to allow me to be wherever it was that I was at that point in time. So definitely a level of reverence too. And I think it's a blend of reverence and almost a blend of spirituality and gospel. Definitely in the South, there's a very heavy presence of religion, and that kind of breeds a different kind of reverence, I think, and respect for those who came before you. So.
Well, I was just going to ask you how that influenced you, and you mentioned your father was a minister, so being in that environment as because music is so integral to all that so much.
Absolutely.
And how was that the beginning of your musical journey, just being in that kind of environment?
I'm sure it was. I mean, as far back as I can remember, we had always gone to church services, and the non-denominational church that my father preaches for and has always preached for, we don't have instruments in music. So there's no piano, there's no drum, there's no nothing. It's 4-part harmony, sight notes, a cappella singing, and that really, really, I think, was the basis of the foundation for what kind of built me as not only a musician but a singer-songwriter as well, is just understanding how that fits, what the building blocks of that are. So it 100% was always a part of my life. My family trips, for a while with my brothers, when they still cared to sing with us all, we had 5-part harmony. So wasn't much radio listening. The radio was what we were all harmonizing to and all finding our parts to. So we were never singing a long lead. It was always harms.
A question just popped in my head so you lived with music and around this all the time.
Yeah.
What would you suggest for people that don't have that opportunity?
Expose yourself as much as you can. And I mean the good, the bad, the indifferent, the ugly, the stuff you think you're going to hate, the stuff you think you're going to love. It doesn't matter. If there's a free concert in your area, show up.
Not
show
just sit
up.
in your basement and play.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
sit in the basement and play sometimes, but go out.
Go out.
Go out and
out.
expose yourself. The day
and be with other people.
Yes.
I try to. I'm going to call my daughter out, but she's like, oh, I was like, you need to. I said, what I want you to do, I said, I want you to find 2 other friends and go in the basement, go in the garage, and suck.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Yes. No, 100%.
No, and just
100%.
Just play whatever you want, and
try anything.
And it's going to probably be 90% of it is going to be crap, but
Yep.
you're going to learn so much, and you're going to have so much
Playing
fun.
with other people.
Well, and there's a community. There's a community
exactly.
level to it that I don't think a lot of people think about from the outside. And that really has been an invaluable asset to me in this area, being so far from family, so far from friends. I have a community. I have my family here who would help me out in any way possible. I mean, and it was great for a while. And, you morph, you change, you ebb, you flow.
Yeah.
But the community remains constant. And that's, I think, exposure and community really both insulate but also elevate you at the same time. They protect you, but they encourage you. And
going back to your evolution of songwriting.
Okay.
But there is something about, I think, the stories and stuff of the South that just lend its, just being, we don't up north here. I mean, I'm the only one native Connecticut cutter
you
here.
Could.
Nutmegger.
Nutmegger, I know.
You absolutely could, and I'm trying to work on that right now. I think there is a level of Appalachian that comes into the theory of songwriting that not enough people lock onto.
Yeah.
storytelling is an art in and of itself, and in and of its own realm. But when you bring music and composition into that, you're adding layers like an onion, right? So you could be the best storyteller in the world, and even if your chords are simplistic, you're not going to lose a lot of people unless you just suck. You know, you're not gonna lose a lot of people because no one's looking for the eloquence or the elaboration in the chording or in the structure. They're looking for that in what you're saying and how you're delivering it. But then I think you have times too where the scale shifts and it's a simpler story with a simpler message that can allow for some elaboration and some beauty and some glimmer and sparkle in the music. And knowing the difference between the two really kind of puts you on a level of where are you as, in my opinion, as a writer, as a complete songwriter. And, you know, I know there are people who do lyrics, there are people who do music, you know, there are people who split it up. There's Elton and Bernie, whatever, you know, you need to have. And I've had plenty of writes like that myself where I wind up coming with the chordage and somebody else comes up with the lyrics, or then maybe we commiserate or converge or, you know, somehow compromise on something. But I don't know. It's always been a beautiful growth process. But it's got to be about, you've got to pick your muse. You know, am I satisfying the story or am I satisfying the music? Or am I satisfying both?
Both, yeah.
Yeah. The hope is all.
Do you tend to come from the lyric or the music side of things? I know it's sometimes
it depends really.
On how it.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I've had songs where I pop up at 2 a.m. and he's like, "Babe, what's wrong?" And I'm like, "I got to get this out of my head. Like, I got to go put this down." And it's probably just me and the keyboard at 2 a.m. because I can keep that quiet enough to not wake anybody else up. But then I've had songs where I was in LA for the thing, and we were at the IHOP. And I was in the women's restroom, and, you know, there's always bathroom graffiti. It's pretty awesome. And somebody had carved in the not written, carved in the bathroom door, "I am not yours anymore." And that was 10 years ago. I can see that like it was yesterday, and that made such an impact. And so, you know, it took me 10 years, but a song finally came out. And I feel like there are some lyrics that grab me hard enough that I'll get there. And I'm big on not rushing when I do something. I'm bad at deadlines. I'm an ADHDer, and
as you can see, we are too.
And I'm no quitter. And so
that's why I need deadlines.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's helpful. But I feel like deadlines for creativity, personally for me, puts me in a space where I think I'm turning out something that's not good enough. I feel like I know when. I feel like I've been doing this long enough now, or maybe I'm just old enough now that I kind of am like, okay, this is either safe enough for me to send to my band and they can tell me the truth, or I don't need their opinion. We're doing this,
it anyway.
you know.
Doing it,
so,
yeah.
Well, actually, part of this whole process, you were supposed to teach us a song.
Right.
Of yours.
I mean,
Before we start learning, let's actually. What is the song you're going to teach us?
So this is called Reeve Jean.
Yeah.
And it's a song that actually was written in a response to a song that the young woman that is the namesake of the song wrote about a young man who kind of broke her heart and left their hometown. And the song she wrote was "Even Though You Left My Hometown." And the second I met her, I was like, "You have a name that is just meant for a song."
Yeah,
I mean,
there ever
that's come on. You are like 2024's Jolene. Yeah. I think it was 2023 this happened. Anyway, I was like, you are like, you're just waiting for it to happen. She's like, well, you know, I guess if somebody ever wrote one. And so I heard her play her song a couple times called "Even Though You Left Our Hometown." And I thought about this poor sap. I'll be kind, that this song is written about. And I'm like, does he even know? Charlie Brown the whole punt? Does he have any clue that he whiffed so bad, so bad? Because she's gorgeous. She has a beautiful voice. She's a songwriter. What more could you ask for, right? And so, it just kind of came to me one night, and I was like, oh man, if I was him, this is what I would say back. And this was kind of the answer to her song. And he knows that she's going to leave, and he knows when it's going to happen. And he knows that she has seen the darkest, deepest things that he has tried his best to keep down, the demons that he's tried to hide. And it's all out in the open now, and all he can do is just hope that maybe she'll change her mind. But if she doesn't, it is what it is. How can you turn time back? So
You completely answered my question of why you wrote this in a male voice.
That just kind of was like where I lived, and I've always been, even in the cover band that I sing with, I don't change the lyrics to fit a femininity. Something's written because it's written for what it's written for. Whatever's comfortable for you. But I mean, this is clearly a woman. To me, it was clearly a woman's name. It needed, and I don't really know if it even is a he. There's nothing in the lyrics that tells you if it's a he or a she that's singing. So, and that was kind of where I wanted to leave it. I want a universal. I definitely, at the end of the day, I don't want some gendering or some dumb verbal screw up on my part to divorce you from being able to connect from a piece of my art. That's silly, and I don't ever want to do that. It's none of my business. It's just relate to it however you can. In all honesty, I did know that she wrote it about a guy. So it was in my head from that aspect of writing it, but I don't know that necessarily would hold back who could use it. Let me let her out really quick. Sorry. Back to take 3, whatever.
we have to, it's all good. It doesn't matter what happens. That's part
the
of the fun
beauty of
here.
editing, right?
Or not. These never go where we think they will.
With the moments, you'd always surprise with moments.
They're a little ADA.
Yeah.
ADA.
All right. So back to actually what is how we got the gist of the song.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start to hear it.
Okay. Oh, eyes are green. See into the deepest, darkest side. Oh, River Jean.
Something like that.
T.
Chord progressions on it.
You discussed over text. You don't really do chords, right?
I mean,
No,
I can. It's back, and this sucks me back to church days. Mm-hmm. It was always annoying to me to read the music. I could hear where it needed to be. And my mom used to get mad at me because I would make up harmony parts that weren't in the written part. And she's like, you're confusing other church members. And I'm like, nobody else has read this, Mom. Like, come on. Like, everybody's just feeling it and going with the feeling.
Was the harmony good?
Of course it was. It was
Of
me.
course. Yeah.
Just kidding. Not always. Not always.
No.
And when it wasn't, she would let me know. Graciously, but she would be like, don't do that again. I'd be like, oh, okay. Gotcha. But then, we also would have church camp situations where we're hitting an octave above because the singing is just so tight and the notes are the purity of it. It's you're hitting that extra element of like, I don't know, nirvana, heaven. I always felt like that's what the angels, like if you ever really heard an angel or you ever really reached nirvana, you'd hear that octave above that sometimes when you get really good choirs and they hit those tight notes and you hear something above and it's not being sung, but it's just
the resonant frequencies and stuff.
Well, that's the thing with when people talk about certain keys that sound a certain way is because those harmonics.
Yes.
And when you're so tight and you're so good, it actually sets off those harmonics in the environment you're in.
Right.
And it's usually like the fifth above will start ringing or something like that. I
might be
remember.
something else.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with like instruments and like the more you play them, like it plays. But people don't realize that certain keys have certain qualities, and it's all because of those overtones and harmonics that are
Absolutely.
involved. Because a note isn't just a pure note.
If it is, it's kind of boring, in
Well,
my opinion. I
yes,
mean,
it is
it's,
boring.
I always was looking for the minor sevenths, the major jumps, the bridge between the 1 and the 2. Like 1's great, 2's great. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's boring. I want 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Give me more and exhaust me to the point to where my brain's like, wait, can I put that many in a measure? Does the math add up? Does the math? I want that. I think the day that I get bored with that will be a sad day. Like I don't ever want to get bored with that. I want the opportunity to fit what I can fit where I want to fit it.
Yeah, I also find sometimes that not necessarily, it's not that I go when I'm doing something, it's like that's the way it's supposed to be because Bach wrote it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I think sometimes actually not having that knowledge, it's almost like the Beatles. They never read music. None
Right.
of them actually read music.
There's a level of
And-
freedom that
and they- and it just
you're
was-
unaware that you possess.
And the stuff they could come up with because they heard it,
Right.
they didn't feel like they had to because of some theory
or
that was going on.
some rule that somebody had told them somewhere that may or may not really apply. I don't know. I always kind of had the feeling that theory, being what it is, has to fit whatever you can put into a measure. There's no. It may not be correct theory.
So my theory
but the theory fits. You're not. So, do your worst. What? How bad can it be?
So my theory on theory is trying to explain what the artist did.
I agree with that
Not
too.
necessarily the artist has to follow theory.
Well,
but
I kind of
theory
feel like
follows
theory.
what
I
they
kind
did.
of feel like theory is the physics of the science world to music. It is there. It's ever present. It is what it is, and it doesn't really change. But how can you tweak physics? How can we tweak theory? What new places are left for us yet to ascend to that we haven't found yet?
Right.
Let's
And
do
when
it,
you
man.
hear it and it sounds
Give
good.
me all the Mongolian throat singing you can. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be baptized in every culture and avenue. And if you looked at my Spotify playlist, you'd think I was a nut. Like, you would think I need some help. But I want to experience it all because I think all of that influences how we set up progression and what we think of as music in our own mind and in our own spirits and our own souls.
So meanwhile, back at the ranch. You guys are probably too young to remember that one. All the westerns go, meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Yes, meanwhile, back
Meanwhile,
at the
back
ranch.
at the town.
We're not
I watched Bonanza. Around. This is probably one of the simplest songs I've written in my whole life.
But the vocal line in this is not all that simple though. And the chord changes aren't that simple. You're going around. You're not just doing 1, 4, 5 here.
No, I guess. I mean, again, though, like that's Greek to me. So what makes sense in my head is where's the lilt, where's the walk, where's the change, where's the lift, where's the sad part, where's the happy part? Is there redemption? Is there,
And you are doing, going back to my music theory geekness, you are actually doing that because you're going from the major to the minor, and then you're going from the minor back to the major, and they're relative to each other.
Yeah, and well,
So that's
the hope is that the
they
relativity
make that
balances,
and musically you're doing it without even knowing it.
Well, thanks. I'm trying.
Which is back to my point.
Trying my
Sometimes it's the artist, theory explains what the artist is doing.
And no, I mean, you're not wrong in that regard. I mean, I definitely think that it almost kind of started as like a lullaby kind of thing, but then it kind of also turned into this like, oh, if he was just like, if whoever this was just in their misery puddle, like pissing mad and like, me. And what would they say? And I was like, this is what they'd say. So yeah, it's kind of like a wallow in your mire.
So play the opening riff again for. All right.
And we were just like, okay, let's just like slowly fall off at the end. And it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
It works.
You just kind of feel where things are going.
Yeah, I wanted to feel like beachy and sad and wistful and bittersweet, like all at the same time. Like, you know what's happening, you can't stop it, but it is what it is, and the only thing you can do is control your emotions and your reactions to it. And
Yep.
I think there was kind of a level of accountability on the part of the person that's singing, of saying, I know that I messed up and I know that I can't stop you.
Yeah.
I hope you change your mind, but
But
here I am
that's what it
regardless.
is,
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple places I need to punch in on that one.
Oh, I think that.
Kept finding the
Does it
wrong.
matter if that goes off?
Yes.
Oh. Well, it says don't panic, but
Your progression up here, so when you left Alabama, were you actually, did you ever actually live in Nashville, or?
no, it's actually funny. We have a running joke in kind of the music community in my North Alabama / Birmingham area. When someone tells us that they're going to Nashville, we just say, we'll see you in 6 months. It's not, we don't mean it ugly. It sounds horrific and really mean, but it's the truth. Nashville is super saturated with talent. You can walk down Broadway or Painters Avenue any night of the week and see the best act you've ever seen in your whole life, busking on the sidewalk for dollars.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a town that unfortunately eats its own. And it's sad. And if you don't have label backing, Nashville is a very, very difficult town to survive in. I've since been back. I don't have an issue going back, but it's just not the same. Really about the only places I want to go anymore are Robert's Western Wear or Kelly's Heroes. There's, nobody else's bar. I don't want to go to Kid Rock's bar. I don't want to go to Jason Aldean's bar. It's just not my...
I can't.
Not my cup of tea anymore.
Okay.
It's a lot more challenging, but I really feel like these days, any avenue that is open to an artist is of their own forging. There is no golden ticket. There's no yellow brick road. There's nothing that we can do that just gets us right in, unless we're born with mommy and daddy money or mommy and daddy connections. And even then, those don't always make it. You've got to be really, really talented to survive. And I'm kind of okay with that, because I lived through the 90s with these bands that just put words together that didn't make any sense. I'm like, rolling in the hay. What? What is that even? Like, stop it. My
So
number
cool.
one piece of advice, you never turn down a free concert.
No.
Never. It may be the worst thing you've ever heard. It may be the best thing you ever heard. But you may miss an epic moment, like unbelievably epic moment that you'll never forget.
Yeah.
And concerts, live music is so much more than just going and hearing something that you could put a CD or a disc or hit play on Spotify. It is an experience, and if you're not having that when you're going to see a live concert, you're not going to the right ones. Like, branch out, go to more. You'll find it. You'll hit your nerves somewhere. Something will feed your soul and resonate, and it's like that tuning fork that hits in your ear, and you're like, oh, that's it. It's so important.
I know. I tell my daughter, I says, just go.
Yeah.
Who cares?
The worst that happens is it's crappy music and you get to make fun of whoever it is on stage, right? Like, that's the worst that can happen. My first foray into the North from the South, I worked at Mass General Hospital. I was in Boston for about 6.5 years. And that kind of, I feel like Boston and Cambridge, actually, there's no feel. I know. Boston made me who I am. Like, as a songwriter, as an artist, I was encouraged beyond belief. I had a mentor that was a step above anybody I'd ever been in contact with. And I mean, I've worked with Duke Ellington's nephew. I've worked with really, really amazing in the gene pool artists. Nothing changed me like Cambridge Mass did. Nothing. And the group of people, and maybe, none of these people are wildly famous right now.
Yeah.
None of these people are, a couple of them are doing tours and doing really well for themselves, but nobody is a name that you would know. But in a heartbeat, I'd drop everything that I had to do to go help those people, because I'm gonna get misty. They made me who I am. And it was a weird it was such a weird 6-year exposure to something that I had never experienced in my life and didn't know was even possible to have outside of like a church or some other kind of community.
Yeah.
And it was everything, and it still is. So
That's the wonderful thing about music. It's
Right.
not like you could put it up on a wall and touch it, and or eat it or whatever. You have to hear it, and once it's gone, it's gone.
but it's also relative in a beautiful sense.
no, yeah.
To each person,
But
it may mean something
I think
different.
that what makes it easier it was like, well, you're just it's not like I'm giving you something,
Right.
because I am, because it's not tangible. So it makes it easier for people to just come up and play, and
That's why I always like and
but
share
I'm like,
the
I don't
meme
care
that's-
if it's $25, $50, $100, $1,000. I just want something out of appreciation for the effort.
Absolutely.
And
you're,
and recognition of what your talents are.
you're giving your time.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, you can like my talent or you can not like it, but you've asked for my time. And that's where I kind of draw the line. Is
And-
if you like what we do, you're gonna love it. Have a great time. Everybody here is gonna like what we do, but you're paying for our time and our experience, our wisdom, and our knowledge.
Yes.
You're paying for us to know when to switch the songs to get the crowd going.
Right.
You're paying for us to know when to shut up.
So they can go buy a beer.
Or or take a break so they can tip their waitresses more or whatever it may be. But again, it's the same as in any, you're not paying a doctor all that money an hour for him to come in and say your pulse is 69, your blood pressure is 170/88. No, you're paying for his years of knowledge and expertise, and it's no different with an artist. Whether they're a painter, a sculptor, a bead maker, whatever it may be, you're paying for their wisdom.
But I also feel I think just out of anyone that's a musician, anyone that's an artist or whatever, we're all going to do it in spite of that.
Oh, 100%. That was a big lesson for us to learn, was that there are going to be gigs that aren't going to be fruitious. They're not. They're not going to produce any kind of financial fluff at all. In fact, they may cost me a little bit because I have a couple of drinks or whatever it may be.
Yes.
I need to buy some food to show some love to this establishment. But I do those things in the hopes that what they hear, they like, and I'm asked back again. And even if I'm not, maybe there's a community, maybe there's a friendship, there's some sort of bond that I build with either someone that works there or someone that frequents there. If we could stop as human beings looking at the tangible things that we get from experiences and rather the intangible things that we get, things that can't be replaced or replicated or duplicated in any other aspect of our lives, I think we would be a lot less worried about the rat race and keeping up with the Joneses, and we would be more invested in putting the phone down, taking this in with our eyeballs, experiencing this with our bodies, with our souls, with our minds, with our hearts, because I think that changes the whole avenue of I've been to concerts my whole life on and off. The best concert I've ever been in my whole life happened this last year when my oldest daughter wanted to go see Cake with me in the city. It was a religious experience and above anything I've ever even thought could happen, because here's my kid who loves this band that I've loved since I was her age, and she's singing every word, and she is loving every second of this, and I'm just like, oh, okay, this is it. This right here. Stones, all these other great groups I've seen, that was fun, that was great, didn't hold a candle to that. And it's music experiences that you can share.
It's like
But
this, the stories that you learn from that.
Oh,
that you can tell
absolutely.
from it.
Absolutely.
Just the
And
experiences.
it's experiences that you went through that have taken you to this point.
I'm a firm believer in if I changed anything in my past, anything, good, bad, or indifferent, I wouldn't be right here at this second with you
Exactly.
fellas in this house, in this part of the world, with that husband, with these kids. All of that could change. And I don't care. I would go through the hell and the heaven and the middle ground, all of it over again to be right here. Because I'm happy for the first time. I'm 43 and I'm content in where I am. I'm content with my art. I'm content with my ability to put things out and to feel like I have a supportive system around me that will tell me, hey, don't do that. If I need to be told, hey, don't do that. I want my no men as much as I want my yes men. So, I'm in a good spot, and I'll stay here as long as they'll keep me. So.
Well, if you changed anything, it could be better, but it could also be worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes
the grass what I have right now.
Sometimes the grass is greener on the other side because it's fake.
Yes, but
I think a big part of that, of my whole mind state with that, is my dad did a really great job somehow instilling us that no matter what, we would be okay. Like, no matter what. And it was a weird, like, scripturally religious thing, but also like a personally responsibility thing. All right. Mm-hmm. We'll all float on, all right? I don't know. Modest mouse for me until the end of time. So
I think we covered.
We covered a lot of ground.
We covered a lot of ground.
Music.
Did you?
I'll phone in whatever else you guys need, so you don't have to come back out here. Just call me.
You call me.
A phone call away. So, but yeah, I don't know. You should just roll into this one again.
Let's just roll into it again
All
and
right.
see what happens.
Yeah, not too bad.
That sounds good.
Not bad for a bunch of amateurs.
I mean, you know, for the third time we played the song
Yeah.
together, you guys, that's pretty good. I mean, come on. You've heard it, what, like 4 times?
Yeah.
Well, you might see your Spotify numbers go up a little bit because I was
I
playing
appreciate
over and
it.
over. And
Yeah.
I did do it on
Nice to get the gist
Spotify,
of
so
it.
at least you got,
Thanks. Appreciate it.
half
A
of
percentage of
half
it.
a third of a cent.
I know, right? Something like that. I don't know.
Dangle another penny away.
You know, the craziest thing is, like, nothing ever got really big until Phil started playing on my stuff. And, of course, you know, he had the attachment of America's Got Talent, and he went pretty far on that or what have you. And, which good for him. I mean, he's such a great human being. So, like, whatever. Of anybody it should happen to, it should be him. But, man, my plays have been up around, like, I got 6,000 all-time plays on a song. And
nice.
haven't seen a cent yet. I ain't seen a single dime.
Haven't
And
monetized it yet.
whatever. It's like, you know, I don't care. It's fun.
Yeah.
I like what I do. I'm not famous. I'm not known. I'm not anybody. But what I have right now, if I had when I was 20, I would have wasted every second of it. Every single second of it. I don't want to say I didn't deserve what I have now, but I need it more now than I ever would have needed it or taken advantage of it then. So I'm fine with that.
Well,
Whatever.
that's going back to being here now, right?
Being in the
that.
now.
Hey, who wants banana pudding? Or are we still recording?
No,
we're still
good.
recording, but
Oh.
so let's just do a little quick wrap up here. Well, thank
Yeah,
you, Holly,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Of
thank you very
for
much.
Absolutely.
not
anytime.
even sitting down with us, but feeding us a wonderful
That is too.
southern supper.
I did my best. I think I made
Did
my
awesome.
mama. I
Appreciate
made
it.
my the women in my family proud.
If she doesn't make it famous for her music, her food is famous.
Hey, there we
Just
go.
those biscuits today. Yeah,
Those are Muma's rolls,
rolls. Yeah.
yeast rolls. They're yummy. Well, awesome. I'm glad you guys got. Well, I knew I'm hauling you up here to like borderline Vermont, so I had
This
to. Let
is the tip of Fairfield County.
It is. It really, really is.
The northern
it?
tip
Right
of
up there,
Fairfield
yeah.
County. It comes
teeny
to that
tiny-
point, and it's beautiful up here on Candlewood Lake.
It
It's
is.
gorgeous.
That's very
I
nice.
like it. I like it.
It was a nice ride, and it was a nice day.
It was.
Yeah,
It was.
great
Thank you
day,
very much.
Great music.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anytime, you guys. You're always welcome. My door is always open.
Thanks.
No problem.
Thanks. We're good.
All right.
Good.
Yay. And cut.
There you go. She's got the clap. I'm the only one that can't make
I've been
noise.
waiting for that the whole time. The whole time.